A very good day I bid to the honorable judges, ladies and gentlemen. My name is ZARA BINTI HAPIZ and I'm a 17-year-old Form 5 student from Sekolah Menengah Kebahasaan Taman Melawati. My school code is BEA 7610. You may be wondering, why am I standing here in front of you? Well, I am here today to share my interest in reading and wonderful experience in it. My dear audience, in my reading experience, I have read many books, but there is one book that had piqued my interest as a child, which is a book written by a British author, Roald Dahl. You might have heard his name before because he is a popular writer. His books have sold 300 million copies all over the world. Out of his famous masterpieces, such as Jack and the Beanstalk and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, one has always stood above the others, which is Matilda. Matilda is a fantasy novel published by Jonathan Cape in 1988. This book, which consists of 232 pages and 21 chapters, has been ranked 30th among all-time best children's novels in 2012. For some readers, 232 pages may sound extremely long, but trust me, when you start reading this book, your nose will be glued to the pages within minutes. That just shows how interesting the story is. Ladies and gentlemen, this book follows the main character, 5-year-old Matilda. Matilda was born to Mr. and Mrs. Wormwood. At such a young age, she had already been described as a child prodigy, having taken a deep interest in books since she learned to read at age 3. And the books she read were not your typical children's books. Matilda found interest in complex books, such as Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. Ladies and gentlemen, personally, I've never read books as mature as that, and I bet even you have not. Imagine a mere 5-year-old reading books like this and then some. Being a child genius, you'd expect your parents to be happy, wouldn't you? I'd be immensely proud with a child who has the mind of the likes of Shakespeare. Nonetheless, Matilda's parents couldn't be any less proud. They have the opinion that young Matilda is better off watching the telly. In fact, Matilda herself had to take the initiative to start going to school. In her school was a sweet young teacher named Miss Honey. Miss Honey immediately noticed Matilda's extraordinary mind when she was able to solve complex mathematics questions. Trunchbull had been notoriously known by the school as a wicked and abusive headmistress. She had prepared a small room lined with nails and broken glass, which she called a chokey, to trap students when they misbehaved. However, Matilda demanded justice. She couldn't stand seeing her classmates and her own teacher be tortured by Trunchbull. Thus, one day, Trunchbull was sitting in Matilda's class, and in front of her was a glass of water. In the glass of water was a newt, placed by one of Matilda's classmates as a practical joke. Matilda was filled with so much rage that she involuntarily focused all her energy onto the glass, and somehow, the glass spilled onto Trunchbull, with the newt now on her body. This was the very moment Matilda realized she had telekinetic abilities. Matilda confided in Miss Honey regarding her newfound powers. During a heart-to-heart conversation, Miss Honey confessed that she once had a very wealthy father, Magnus Honey, but one day he suspiciously died, and Miss Honey was left to be taken care of by her abusive aunt. Does that sound familiar to you? Wicked, abusive woman? Dear readers, this book teaches me important values of friendship. The way Matilda is always there to support and defend her friends is really an example of a friend in need is a friend indeed. The way she always finds a way to stand up and stop her friends from suffering really touches many hearts and influences even me to be a better friend. It's good to know that when everyone is against you, there is always someone having your back. After all, life is like a bicycle. Sometimes you are on top, and sometimes you are at the bottom. As I mentioned before, this book has stood out more than others. You might wonder why. For starters, I admire Matilda's love of reading. She would do anything to read books, even when her parents forbid it. The storyline of this fantasy book is very interesting too, which is a credit to the amazing author. It really enhances my imagination and creativity to another level. respectful audience. Overall, this story, including the characters and the plot, have me hooked. So, I'd recommend this book to anyone of any age who wants a simple, lighthearted read. It isn't too dramatic, but it is interesting enough that it reels you in. I hope through this, you will find Matilda as entertaining as I did. All in all, thank you so much for lending me your attention, and I hope you had a wonderful time. Always remember, a reader is a leader.